welcome to Fiaura. So, I'm doing this strictly for Warhammer 40k Theories in his channel. So, this is a review of Warhammer Armageddon. Now, as you can see, this is kind of towards the very end of the game. Let's go ahead and do this. Spoiler, 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 spoiler. There we go. I mean, if you're going to review a game properly, you need to play through the entire game. I'm going to try to spoil as little of it as possible, but I figured I'd put those up just in case I do something horrifically wrong. Now, this is about the first battle of Armageddon. The entire game is. And as you can see, I've got basically access. This is towards the very end of the game. I've got access to basically every unit in the game. So I've got Warhounds, I've got Reavers, I've got Space Marines, Salamander Space Marines, Blood Angel Space Marines, Ultramarines, and Imperial Guard units, all scattered everywhere. Now, is the game fun? Yes. It has flaws, and I'm going to go over those later, but it is actually fun. Your primary enemy through the entire game is going to be orcs. There's a couple times you have to fight other Imperial Guard. I won't tell you why, but there are a couple times you have to do it. And, yeah. So every unit has, you know, they've really tried really hard to incorporate a lot of elements from the tabletop and turn this into basically Warhammer Apocalypse, the video game. Which kind of works. Kind of doesn't. There are some elements here that do suffer. So I'm going to go over a few things. Now in the beginning you only have access to the Steel Legion units. So, and you don't even have access to all of them. You have to slowly unlocks all of them for you. You don't have to actually manually purchase them. But you only really have access to the Steel Legion guys. And yes, they tried to put in every single version of the Leman Russ and every single version of the super heavy tanks in existence. Ugh. Now, there are some here that are clearly better than others. Leman Russ Demolisher, not very good with a range 2 cannon. Especially when you have access to Leman Rush Vanquisher. 1 to 4 range, much better armor piercing, same damage. Yeah, you can see where this is going. And it still gets, you know, bolters, whereas this just gets a heavy flamer. So as you can see, there are some units that are clearly better than others. And this is where things become an issue for me. Late game, you really start running into the what's the point of having Imperial Guard units? Unless you're trying to challenge yourself or you're doing so for story purposes. Oh yeah, I can right click on the enemy's units and see their stuff too. But as you can see, it's not visually, you know, it's not super visually pretty. And I think that's intentional. Now I'm getting a little lag here, and that's probably because the game is not actually designed to, this is just not a game. I have tried recording this with Fraps, and I've tried recording this with OBS and Shadowplay and everything, and this is just a game that just does not want to be recorded. And it's because it's kind of built on the old Panzer Corps engine. If you've ever played Panzer Corps, you know what I'm talking about. However, there are, and as you can see, this is basically what you're doing. You're trying to outthink the orcs. Now, at this point in the game, I pretty much have all the firepower in the world. The challenge is almost gone. I mean, I might lose a unit here or there occasionally, but I'm going to be hard-pressed to actually lose a unit. Go Hellfire Dreadnought. And hello, Predator. But they also have every single orcish unit I've ever conceived in this game. Whether it's still used or not, it's here. And so you end up with the orcs having a lot more variety than even you do. You guys are going to rest. Now, if you are colorblind, this is the first issue. The morale meter is actually not a meter. It's measured by the color of the text of the number. The number indicates how many are there. The bar, on some of these units have bars, some of them don't. But you see that there's a yellow bar here, there's a green bar here. That indicates how many hit points that unit has left. before it loses one of its number. The number indicates how many men are in that unit currently. So like with Titans, you only have one. It's one Titan. But with Dreadnoughts, you get 5. Terminator Squad, 10. Super Heavy Tanks, you get 2. Let's let them have a Bane Sword. Now, I personally prefer the Bane Swords and Shadow Swords because the long-range guns make a difference. Since, for instance, if I open fire on a unit and I'm in range, they shoot back. If I open fire and I'm not in range, they don't shoot back. Hence the now dead Orcish tank, super tank. And yeah, they've got some Gargants up here. I need to get up here and take care of these. So we're going to move our Titans forward. But talking about defects, well, let's start. The biggest drawback to this game is that regardless of the unit type and the faction it belongs to, it still takes up a unit slot. That means that statistically, Imperial Guard infantry are comparable to a squad of Space Marines. They're not. Just flat out, they're not. Like literally, it's the cost up here, the requisition points. Obviously, at this point in the game, I've got so many requisition points that it doesn't even matter because I've been working really hard to not have any casualties, so the units keep going. And I'm going to explain why. And then I'm going to explain why that's actually not really benefited me. So, what this basically says is that this Steel Legion Conscripts unit is equivalent to this Terminator Assault Squad, or... I didn't realize that they had different Titans. Would have been nice to know. Melta Cannon, and apparently they unlocked this for the last mission. Inferno Gun. Yeah. Titan Chain Fist. Well, that's just a big screw you. Huh. Was not aware. You know what? I just got this Titan. Nah, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll probably just restart the mission and then, you know, upgrade all of my Reavers. But units that have been around a long time, like this, let's see, this Shadow Sword was originally a Lehman Russ Vanquisher. Yeah, I upgraded it from a Lehman Russ Vanquisher. All the skulls up here indicate its experience. Great, right? Not so much so for infantry. This is my original Steel Legion Company command from the first mission. I'm 40 missions in. And it's because of the reinforcement system. This is the first... Now, I give the game a 3 out of 5, but there are some defects. First off, the reinforcement system strictly brings up rookie troops, which means that it averages out 0 XP troops versus the current XP of the squad. You will quickly have 0 XP troops over and over again, and there's nothing you can do about it. Even this Ogren veteran squad that's been with me since I could requisition Ogrens. They're now Ogren veterans. They've been upgraded. They still only have 3 skulls of experience. And so infantry really become a moot point as far as combat goes, because it really just becomes about how many artillery can I muster and how many Titans can I roll. Even though I've tried to keep my army as varied as possible, not only for a challenge for myself, but because I wanted to, you know, have some fun with it. And, you know, because you practically don't, you know, play an all-Titan army. Nobody does. Not to mention the Imperial Guard mortars. Even though the rest of the Imperial Guard infantry basically become useless, there is no real replacement for Imperial Guard mortars. They will massacre troops. And it's awesome. I just wish every other infantry unit had something like that where they could continue to murderize everything in their path, but sadly they don't. The next big issue I have is with Fliers, aircraft. They just get this Flyer ability. Unit has increased evasion against attack and is immune to being assaulted. That's it. And you would think that would be enough, but I will not use the flying aircraft at all because they routinely get shot down. For a start, they only have a view range of 2. Orcish infantry have view range 2. Even the Space Marines, view range 2. And that hurts. That means that the aircraft can't be spotters, and they only have range 3 weapons, and there's a lot of things in the game with range 3 weapons. So you find that your aircraft oftentimes just get shredded. And therefore there's no point to them. I mean, you could try to use them as fast flankers, but in a game where there's no such real thing as flanking, see where that goes. And it becomes very clear as you get through the game and you get access to Space Marines, you basically replace all that hard work to keep all your Imperial Guard units alive and kicking. You replace them. And yes, this is Commissar Yarick. Now, the problem I have with Commissar Yarick, he's in a Chimera. What? Put him in a command unit and let me go around and stomp people with this power claw. Or put him in a tank that acts... Chimera. And some of the hero units are really just not worth their salt. The only hero unit I've found that is worth its salt, I think I've got them killed now. And therefore I can't use them anymore. Yep. The Salamander chapter master is dead. Dante's still alive. But I went and got the Salamander chapter master killed. My bad! Not quite sure if that was supposed to happen or not. But this is what the gameplay leads up to. Now, it is very good about easing you into stuff. You start the game and you don't have a lot. As a matter of fact, this is like the finished. This is it. This is the finished army. But you start the game and you really don't have. You have some infantry units. You have some basic armor units. And you know what? I'm just going to show you guys. So, 1 second. Alright, so we're back. And see. Now, there are 4 pieces of DLC. It costs a total of $20. The game itself is $20. So, $40. You get all this. This Imperial Guard campaign is about, I want to say, 16 hours long. Now, regardless of difficulty I put it on, at the end of the campaign, I'm going to have so much stuff. We're going to put it on challenging. Leave Fog of War. Leave Undo. Button. Commander Fiaura. So, now this is the cool part. This is incredibly well voice acted. I'm surprised by this. It is just pictures and a desktop background. But they're incredibly well voice acted, and there are, these come up, active decision points. Where you can ask questions, and you will also be asked to make decisions, and the campaign does have branches that lead you to through different missions. Now, those missions, though, this is the other annoying part, regardless of your decision, those missions all come back to a focal point, and all come back to the same chapter ending missions. It's just you get to see a different aspect or a different piece of the story each time that you choose a different mission, or you choose a different path, and you get about 4 path choices through the story, including one that I find really fitting. I won't spoil it for you, but let's just say that a bastard you get to choose if he gets his comeuppance or not. But the tutorial campaign, I'm going to play through, just a couple tutorial campaign missions. I'm going to do it rapid fire. So you get these pop-up that explain to you how everything works. The tactical map, the edge, the scrolling, giving orders to your units, all that wonderful stuff. And now I have these units. Now, my sparring partner here just has Hive Militia. Obviously, going to ease you into this. As you can see, I'm using my range to my advantage. Enemy units in range of your weapons, but you can't attack it because of line of sight blocking. See, terrain block sight, that kind of stuff. You actually get a readout down here in the lower right-hand corner underneath the unit and the unit statistics that tells you what each area that you could, when you scroll over a hex, what it's going to do for you. Just, basic useful information. zoom the map. I can zoom all the way in. And the models don't break down as you zoom in and out, which is kind of nice. Particularly for a game that's as low-res graphics as this. It's not particularly, you know, fancy or, you know, pretty. But it's good enough. And I move him into the trenches to get the extra cover. And the colors, if you can see this and you're not colorblind, it's really helpful because as this gets closer and closer to blood red, that means that their morale is down and they're less accurate, and it's harder for them to defend themselves. So it's easier to wipe out units by focusing your fire and making their morale plummet. And Sentinel's really useful for scouting, which is what I'm kind of using it for, is just as a forward scout unit. There's another forward scout unit that, when the game first came out, was really overpowered. Salamander Command Edition was just way overpowered. And they nerfed it. But this is basically what you do. It's not very fun to watch, as you can imagine. I know you're sitting there watching this and you're going, this is not very fun to watch. You're right, it's not. It is challenging to do, particularly when you get to the later missions and things start getting really hard. Oh, these actually have auto guns instead of auto pistols. As you can see, as I focus fire them down, they do less. Their morale drops, they're able to do less damage to me, and I'm able to do more to them. Capture the last point, end of mission. And that's the first mission. I like Doyle. I like Goyle. He's all up in your face. He's like, I'm gonna beat your head in if you don't get it right. And like I said, some of these cutscenes are just wonderful. I'm gonna try to skip them now so I don't spoil any of the story for you guys. But it's Armageddon. It's the Battle of Armageddon, and that's about it. Now, the reason I went to the second mission is so you guys could see how purchasing works. Now, right now I have no requisition points, but you can come in here, you can buy some new units, you can buy infantry transports, Imperial Guard get Chimeras or Gorgons, Space Marines get Rhinos or Land Raiders. And that's the game. I mean, this is literally mission after mission. As it gets increasing in difficulty, you are doing more and more. Now, the missions vary from capture point X to escort, and when you have to escort, you have full control over that unit. It's not an escort mission where you don't have control over the units, thank God. And the enemy is will only go after this is also another nice thing. The AI is programmed to only go after the escort units if there is nothing else available for them to go after. So I found that to be a nice touch and very, very forgiving if you make a mistake. But yeah, you could do the Imperial Guard training missions, and this is just the extended tutorial at this point to get you through to the main event, the Orcs. And you find out, you know, if you didn't know, you find that they made up a story on how Commissar Yarrick got his evil eye and his power claw, replacing his regular arm and his regular eye. All of the characters, the voice acting in here is extremely good. I'll give it that. There's just some little nuances about how the units work that bug the piss out of me. That makes me not want to use them. Or when the Space Marines get here, what was the point of me struggling so hard to keep my Imperial Guard units alive so they would have high XP? I'm just going to replace them with Space Marines. I mean, that let everything down. Because I thought I was going to be playing an Imperial Guard campaign, and then suddenly it's like, oh, by the way, you have access to all of the Space Marine units you could ever want. As I said, I'm going to skip the character dialogues to not ruin anything for you guys. And as you can see during the training missions, they give you superior forces so that you can get used to what you're doing and kind of get a feel for the game mechanics. I should probably rest that Sentinel. As units do more and more combat, they get fatigued, their morale goes down, they rest and recuperate, that recharges them. Just, you know, slightly basic stuff. Also, when they rest, if you notice, their health bar goes back up. Yay. I think that's the end of this one. I just have to capture these 2 points. Oh. Snap, I missed a point. And that's it. As you saw, it scales up and towards the end it scales up very quickly. And I hate to say this, but eventually it gets to the point you have so many requisition points that you don't even worry about what you're going to buy or what you're not going to buy. But this is where you start. This is kind of what you start with. I prefer the Griffins to the Bombards because the Griffins have this support ability. The Bombards don't. And support basically says if it's adjacent to a friendly unit, something attacks that friendly unit, it fires in response. So that's pretty much the entire game. There is one more element to the game, and that is the scenario element. So for those who purchased the base game, you have this Untold Battles. Hunt down and destroy formation. So you have some orc battles. I really hope they release an orc expansion. As you guys can see, I have access to every single mission in the game. If I just want to go play a mission, I can. Advanced tutorials on assaulting and cover, support units, space marine units, and titans. Awesome stuff. I've never actually played the orc units. Sure, I'll play the orcs. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. It's very, very Panzer Corps-esque. It's very, very... Oh, wow. I could recruit whatever I want. That's awesomely amazing. This could be a very fun scenario to play. For me, it's not going to be any fun to watch, unless I make up some crazy commentary and go absolutely apeshit crazy. But this is a review. This is not, you know, the chance for me to... Holy shit, Batman. Cool. Gaze of Mork. Lift a drop to... we're going to be talking about the orcs later today anyway. But as you guys can see, it's nothing terribly super special, but it is the first game I've ever seen for Warhammer that is on the apocalypse scale for units. And look at this. This is an orcish horde, literally. This is the apocalypse scale of units. Battle fortresses, stompas, gargants, whole 9 yards. And this is what you would expect. So tell me what you think. It's not a lot graphically. It's a lot, I'll admit, like playing a tabletop Armageddon game on a computer, except for you're playing against an AI. The multiplayer, I believe, the last time we did it, it was strictly versus. Yeah, it's... I think that's... Nope, don't... Okay, my login's not good anymore. Yeah, the last time we played the multiplayer, it was strictly versus, which was something that pained us, because we were like, why don't you have a cooperative campaign? That would be awesome. But, sadly, they don't. And, as I said... It's got a lot of... There's a lot of material here if you just want hours on hours on hours of play. It takes some getting used to. It's not very well... In some places, like with the Fliers, like with unit experience, where... Also, the problem with reinforcements for units is it automatically reinforces every single unit at the end of every single mission. Whether you want it to or not. So, even if you were okay going in with like a 9-man squad out of your 20... It's still going to reinforce them, and then suddenly their XP is cut in half. And you're just like, well, shit. So it feels like sometimes you do a lot of work to keep units alive for the experience and stuff. And you're not really keeping them alive for the experience. You're just keeping... A lot of times you're just keeping units alive until you can get better units. That's really the truth. And That is something that bugs me. I don't... When I play a game like Panzer Corps or I play a game like XCOM, I want to be attached to the units, and I want to, you know, involve them in some way and have like some epic story about them and all the stuff they've done. Well, it doesn't matter in this particular game because you're just going to knock their XP bar down constantly. It's going to be a constant reminder that most of the unit wasn't there for all that awesome stuff. They're dead now, or they're considered dead now. But that's the game in a nutshell. As I said, it powers up slowly. You get the invasion where hive cities are just falling. You're in retreat. You're trying to figure out what's going on. The Space Marines arrive, and then it's a pitched battle. And then by the time when you get to Act 3, it's just you literally going around and doing what the orcs did to you in Act 1. Just going around and just smashing. And I think that's something that makes Act 3 a little disappointing. Is because it doesn't. It kind of feels like they can't. It kind of feels like they really can't win. I don't know. Do you guys have experience with Armageddon yet? I mean, Act 3 to me feels like they really can't win. I haven't bought the expansion or played the expansion because each of these expansions is 10 missions. One of them is 11 missions, I think. Yeah, just the Ultramarine is 11 mission, and the Orc Hunter is a 10 mission. But the Glory of Makarage is 11, which is kind of nice. I want an Orc expansion. I really want an Orc expansion because I would like to play the Orcs. Or some other race for some new campaign. Because this engine would be really good, in my opinion, for like a Tyranid campaign. It would be really good to play Tyranids or to have to fight Tyranids. It would also be really good for, say, some other races. Just saying. Hey Slytherin, I'm talking to you. Whether you watch this review or not, I'm still talking to you. Anyway, that's the entirety of the review in my opinion. I give the game a 3 out of 5 or a 7 out of 10, whichever scale you kind of want to use. It's kind of about a 3.5. Because there are some things that nag. There are some things that you have to constantly remind yourself. And the AI is not the brightest in the world. It's also not stupid. And when you think you've got it outsmarted, sometimes it suddenly rises up and you just lose 6 units. And you're just like, holy shit, where did that come from? And part of that is just it randomly just suddenly gets spikes of reinforcements that you can do nothing about. And the other part of that is that if you don't play the line of sight and the spotting game well enough, and a lot of it comes down to spotting, if you don't play that game well enough, sometimes one of your units is spotted and then suddenly everyone pounces it. And the AI does a really good job of doing the most annoying thing in the world, focusing down your units. Whereas you might come up and want to weaken several units at once so that they don't really pose a threat anymore, the AI will jump on one unit and kill it outright, and then suddenly you just lost a unit. And it autosaves every turn, so it's always on Iron Man mode. You either restart the whole scenario or you play Iron Man, because it autosaves at the start of your turn and at the start of the AI's turn every single time. And there's almost no way around it unless you're ninja quick and the AI still has a lot of turn left to reload to your previous turn. So it is kind of annoying to me that it autosaves like that. I wish it didn't, but hey, it's there. Anyway, that's the review, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. If you have a personal opinion on Warhammer Armageddon, please leave it. My initial opinion when this game came out, I didn't like it. And I was really hoping more for a Warhammer 40k game, a Panzer Corps game soaked in Warhammer 40k juice, and I was disappointed and pleasantly surprised at the same time. If you can get that kind of feeling. So, that's it. If you've ever wanted to play a Warhammer Apocalypse game on your computer, there you go. This is exactly what this is. Otherwise, if you're not really into the Apocalypse scale type battles, probably not the game for you. And if you're definitely not into the hex-based strategy games like Panzer Corps or Fleet Command, really not the game for you. But that's my review. I hope you've enjoyed. Please check out my channel. It's Fiaura the Tank Girl. I think that 40k Theories has put a link in the description below. I am openly transgender. If you have a problem with that, not the channel for you. Sorry. But if you don't, cool. I do a lot of games, video games, mostly tank stuff, and I also have, I'm also a graduate student, so I have a lot of experience and knowledge that people really underestimate. Which is why we're doing the the armor blitzkriegs. But he asked for this, so he's got it. In the meantime, from my house to yours, this is Fiaura officially signing out for right now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.